Hi friends, Charlie here. I wanted to go over pros and cons of living alone. I'm 77. I've been living solo for many years now, since 2014, I believe. And I had always, prior to that, lived with somebody else, and for the most part. And the difference between that life and my solo life is amazing. So I have 10 pros and 10 cons. Now, under the cons, a lot of those don't apply to me, but I know they can be concerns for my peers and people in my peer group. So I'll go over both the pros and the cons. The first thing is, on the pro side, complete independence. I set my own schedule. I wake up when I want to. I eat when I want to. I do whatever I want to do, not only what I want to do, but when I want to do it. There's no one else that I have to cater to or provide support to, other than my dog, Sirius, of course. And then there's the peace and quiet. I will admit that in my marriages, there was so much chaos and not a whole bunch of peace and quiet. Unfortunately for me, my relationships tended to be fairly abusive, and that could be because I just don't have a good picker. But having grown up in a pretty abusive environment, maybe I just felt comfortable choosing partners that were abusive. I have no clue. But the peace and the quiet, oh my gosh, it's like eating the best milk chocolate every day. And I'm a chocoholic, so my peace and quiet, I wouldn't give up for anything, nothing in the world. Freedom to be who I am. When I was growing up, I was a jokester, laughed a lot, played a lot of pranks on my siblings. It was just basically my nature. And as I matured and became an adult, I realized that I had to hide that part of myself, because I would be criticized for being silly, or because somebody else didn't have a sense of humor, I would be impacted by what I could do. So slowly, as I started to mature into whatever, I lost a lot of my sense of humor, because I started to care about how other people were impacted by my jokes or my silliness or whatever. And that was one of those things that just gave me great joy. And having to set aside that part of me during my maturing transformation was kind of painful, because my basic nature is to be funny. So the freedom to be myself is just a godsend, and I just won't give that up. I won't give it up. And then I have now, because of having to modify who I was to please others, I have a stronger sense of who I am, a stronger sense of self. Because when you're raising kids and you're married and you're catering to everybody else, somewhere along the line, you lose you. And when you have the solitude and the quiet of living solo, your mind naturally starts to shift and analyze who you are. What is your purpose now that everybody's gone and you're just there with you, and you discover, oh my gosh, this is who I used to be before I started having all these people come into my life. And this is who I am now. How did it change so much? And was it a good thing or was it a bad thing? And it doesn't really matter, because now I can do and I can be whoever I want to be. I can understand who I am and gain a stronger sense of self. Another pro is I have complete control over my space. If I get up and I don't feel like making up my bed, guess what? That bed won't get made up. And who is it harming? Because if it's harming me, all I have to do is make it up. But if it's harming somebody else or offending somebody else, then I have to adjust my own feelings or thoughts and go fix it for that person. I don't have to do that anymore. And I love that. If I want to, I'm a neat person, but if I feel at the end of the day that I don't want to wash that plate in the sink and go to bed, which anybody who knows me, that's very rare. But it's my choice. I can do it. I'm not going to hear anybody's mouth around it. And certainly my dog, Sirius, he's not going to complain. So I love the fact that I have total control over my space. Another pro, and a big one for me, is emotional boundaries. I don't have others that can explode into some kind of argument based on what I said or what I did or what they said or what they did. I've had enough of that. I had years and years of having to deal with people's attitudes and their mouths and conflict. And while that's a natural part of relationships, by the time I got into my senior years, I was done. I was so tired of that. It was nothing that was desirable to me. And when I found myself on my own and realizing that I'm surrounded by peace, yeah, that's a big, big, big pro. Another pro is I have a flexible lifestyle. I can do what I want, go where I want, downsize, upsize, travel. I'm a huge traveler. I love travel. I love discovering new places to go, new languages to try to understand, new people, new cuisines. So I'm absolutely intrigued about the world. Even when I was a little kid, I think I can attribute this character to my mom, because we used to change locations all the time, change living spaces all the time, change cities, change states, you name it, we changed. So I grew up knowing how to be adaptable and flexible. And the side benefit of that is when I had to start traveling as a part of my job, my profession, it was easy for me to pivot, for me to, back in the day when I had to travel, we had to learn how to read maps. We didn't have GPS. The map was our GPS. And I became an expert map reader. I became an expert map designer. I became so flexible because of that mobility on my mom's part and moving us around all the time, that now I love travel. And I have been to over 33 countries. I've been on practically 30 cruises. I love cruising. I discovered cruising later in my life. I've only been cruising about maybe 10 years. I don't know. I don't even know if it's been that long, but I've been on almost 30 cruises, and I absolutely love it. So the flexible lifestyle of being able to say, hey, I wake up today and I say, I want to take a flight to go visit my sister in Arizona. I can do that. I don't have to ask anybody's permission. I don't have to consider anything. I don't even have to pack a bag. I can just go get the ticket and go fly and buy something where I am. I love that flexible, no hassle lifestyle. Another pro is financial autonomy. I love the fact that I'm the only one who gets to speak over my finances. I know what I make. I know what I need to spend money on to keep a roof over my head and food in my belly. The fact that I can take any kind of discretionary funds left over and do whatever the heck I want to do with it, I love it. No more arguments over finances, no more trying to pay Peter with the money that belongs to Paul. I've lived it all. And now that I've reached financial peace and autonomy over my own financial decisions, chef's kiss, chef's kiss. Personal growth and reflections. When you live solo, whether you've decided to live solo on your own, or if you, through life's circumstances, find yourself in a situation in your senior years living solo, you spend a lot of time with yourself. And some of that time, a lot of that time for me, has been spent self-reflecting, reflecting over my entire life. In fact, a year ago or last year, I started trauma therapy. And it was something I had always wanted to do, but my partner would think it was silly or not be supportive or whatever. But last year I decided, I've been living solo for so many years. I can do all the things that I've ever wanted to do. And I wanted to do trauma therapy, primarily because there were some behaviors I needed to modify, some thoughts I needed to just get rid of. I wanted to have more of a peaceful inside, mentally, spiritually, as well as outside. And so I just took it upon myself in my late age to go and talk to a therapist who happened to be a Christian as well, which was very important to me. But reflecting over my life and looking at the crossroads where there could have been more than one choice, and analyzing only on the big things why I made this choice over another, and just learning from that, understanding where I was in that time of my life, and forgiving myself of really bad choices, forgiving myself and learning how to love myself, warts and all. Solo life is such a wonderful opportunity because it's so peaceful and you have so much time to do those things, to actually work on your mental health as well as your physical health. And then the final pro I'd like to share is pride and dignity. The pride that comes along with making the decisions over your life that allow you to thrive, not just live, get through the day, but allow you to thrive, allow you to invite people into your life to make it richer, join social groups and become more of a social person so that you don't experience the onset of depression and loneliness, both of which, as you age, we tend to be confronted with more. So the pride and dignity around keeping those things under control is really good. I mean, I wake up when I get ready to go to church or interact with my friends and associates. I don't use friends loosely, but lots of associates, just a couple of friends. But when I interact with them, I like the fact that I can do it with such confidence and dignity. And it's due to the fact that I've been allowed to do this mental health work on myself, spend time reflecting, spend time building relationships or rebuilding relationships, and just being real with myself about all that's going on in my life and my relationships. So overall, I'm I'm like, if you are solo, take advantage of the fact that it's just you and that you have complete control over your life. And when I say complete control, I'm a devout Christian, so there is nothing that I have complete control over because God leads me. I pray a lot. And living by myself, I can pray out loud, I can worship out loud, I can thank God out loud. And I love that part. So if you're solo and you're feeling lonely or stressed or whatever, yeah, you need to figure out how to stop that because you have control over how you feel and how you react to whatever happens to you. It's on you. So I'm hoping that you'll take advantage of this time and determine what you need to make your life better so you can thrive. And you'll hear me say that a lot, thrive instead of simply survive. Now let's talk about cons. I don't have a lot of them, but I'm going to start with one that most people think is the case when you're living by yourself, and that's loneliness. I'm never lonely. Honest to goodness, I am never lonely. I have several YouTube channels and I'm constantly working on. I'm taking classes. I was in IT, information technology, for over 40 years. So I've grown up with it, from hardwiring logic into motherboards to currently AI. I take classes. I keep my mind active. I'm very, very sharp still. Although I have slowed down quite a bit, there's no doubt about it. But I do keep myself fit mentally. And one of the things I need to do is just beef up my physical attributes in terms of strength and stability and all that. I'm good. I can walk 2-3 miles. I can hike. But I can tell that as I have over the years stopped going to the gym like I used to, stopped doing all the strength training and the cardio that I used to, there's a difference in my body. So that's something that I'm currently working on, and I certainly encourage everybody. I've also been working on my diet, and I've cut out sugars. That sugar is just a killer, period. It's not good. But I want to address the loneliness thing. When you start to feel as if you're lonely, get out of your house. Get out. Go to the park. Drive by a school. Just look at the little kids. They just inspire you to keep going. Go to the grocery store, even if you don't need anything, because you're going to run across people in the aisles that you'll stop and have a conversation with. And I know most people don't think about going to the grocery store to be social, but every single time I go to the store, there's somebody who says something to me, and we end up having a little conversation, and it's nice. And so whatever little funk you're in, if you feel like you're lonely, you need to get up. Don't wallow in it. And I understand it's easier said than done, but you have control over what you do, when you do it, how you do it. So if you wallow in your loneliness, it's because you've decided that's what you want to do. But you have control to take that other path and say, okay, loneliness, get behind me. I'm going to go seek somebody else. Pick the phone up. Call a friend. Call an acquaintance. And just have a silly conversation. Nothing heavy. That will take you out of your funk as well. And I know we're going into holiday season now, and that's when loneliness seems to be at its peak, because a lot of us may not have extended family that we can share time with during the holidays. And so it's particularly difficult to get through that time. But keep in mind, it's only a few days, and there are alternatives. Join a local YMCA, join your local senior citizen organization, and spend time with those ladies and gentlemen. It barely costs anything, if anything at all. My local one doesn't. Oh yeah, I think they just started charging, was it $14, $13, $14, $15 a month? But they have all kinds of activities. I'm in the Colorado Springs area, and we have a lot of shows in Denver, about an hour and a half away. And so my center will sponsor bus trips up to see Broadway shows, or go to hear the Philharmonic, or go to museums. There's so much out there that's so low cost, if cost is an issue, that you can do. So I'm encouraging you, think about those things. Write them down. What are the things that you can do when that depression and that loneliness spirit starts to come and attack you? And that's exactly what it is, an attack. Get busy. Make that decision to thwart that off. The second con is health and safety concerns. When we think about the fact that as we age, we get more prone to falling, or slipping, or stumbling over something, that can cause concerns. Now, I do want to remind you that that's always been an issue, right? Even if you were younger and you're in a house full of people. My sister, bless her heart, she just has a knack for falling, and she has been that way since she was a little kid. So that's just a reality. So while we grow up and we might get a bit more feeble, in fact, if we live long enough, we're going to be super feeble, depending on how well we take care of our bodies, right? We do need to be more concerned about our health and safety. If something happens and I need immediate attention, no one is in my home to help me. I am going to have to call someone to assist me, or the hospital, or an ambulance, or whatever. So that's always a reality. Even if you're in your 30s and you're living solo, or just starting out in your life in your 20s, that's a concern. You just need to know what your plan is. So write your plan down. Have your numbers. If something happens, you don't want to be looking around and trying to find whose number is what. Program those things in your phone. Have a sheet with the emergency numbers and what you need to do if there is something that happens to you in your home. There are medical devices that if you are incapacitated in terms of even making a phone call or speaking, that you can just press a button and have people respond. So it's about preparedness, because while we might be more vulnerable to things happening as we age, the fact is that there have been many times in our lives, for most of us, where we were solo. We just happen to be senior solos now. So we just need to know what we're going to do if and when an occurrence happens. The next con is the day-to-day of not having a companion. And this I'm separating from loneliness, because it's kind of different. Sometimes when I am cooking, I never learned how to cook, for one. I'm still trying to figure that out. I've always cooked anticipating somebody will drop by, or, if one of my kids drop by or somebody, I can have something available to give them a plate, because my love language is cooking and giving and doing for and hospitality and that sort of thing. So the lack of a companion day to day can be kind of challenging, because you can be like I do, scrolling through social media, and I'll see an article and, oh my gosh, the urge to talk to somebody else is strong at that moment, right? So I've actually started talking out loud. They say if you answer back, then that's a sign that you're crazy, right? No, I don't think so. I know I'm not crazy, and I will answer back. But that can be a bit challenging. It has nothing to do with me being lonely. It just has to do with the convenience of having somebody else to talk to. So that can be a bit of a challenge. And under pros, I mentioned that you're totally autonomous. Everything is on you. You make decisions, and those are your decisions. You don't have to depend on anybody else. Well, the con is everything falls on you. So if it's stressful to go through your finances, if it's stressful or challenging to rearrange your furniture, which you can do, it might be an issue if you actually cannot do it physically or whatever the challenge might be. So you don't get to share the decision-making process with anybody. It's all on you. All the responsibilities on you. Everything is on you. The next con is you only have one income. Well, technically you only have one income. Some of us may have more than one income. Maybe you had a spouse that passed away and you're getting death benefits. So that helps you. And then there's some of us who have small businesses that we're running, so you have that income. But for the most part, you have one income. Your Social Security income or your pension or whatever it is. The high cost of living and having just one income can be very challenging, because if you're living off of Social Security, you know that that income in no way keeps up with the actual cost of living. So every year we find that we're spending more and more for less and less. And there's nobody else's income that we can share that with. So another con is emotional weight. There is no built-in support system. If something happens, like for instance, a few weeks ago, I got a devastating phone call from my sister, who is going through a challenge with stage 4 breast cancer. And that was very, and still is very devastating to me for multiple reasons. Like, you want to just jump on the plane and go be with them by by their sides, but you have to make strategic decisions. And so this is really an emotional weight that you wish you could share with somebody. But of course, what I did is got on the phone and started making phone calls and talking to people so that I could calm down and, pray through the situation. And that helped a lot. And it helped calm me down enough so that I could write out what my strategy would be. Like, after her daughters use up all of their leave time for their jobs, then because I'm by myself and I can make my own decisions without consulting anybody, I can just buy a ticket, hop on down there and be with her to support her whenever, for however long. Now that is a pro. Also, because of all the other cons, you can risk social withdrawal if you allow yourself to be lonely, to feel the weight of making all the decisions yourself, to experience financial burden that perhaps you wouldn't experience with a partner who's contributing financially. If you allow all those things to become boulders, that boulder could just run you over and you can just totally become socially withdrawn. And that's one thing you never want to do. You want to always stay social. Whether, you don't always have to be in the presence of people to be social. There's this thing on our phones where we can actually see people and we never have to leave our couches, right? On iPhones, it's called FaceTime. I don't know what it is on other devices. But I use that to talk to my grandkids and my daughter and friends and acquaintances. So the risk of losing control over becoming socially withdrawn is mitigated because I am an active participant in my mental health. One of the other cons, and this is real even for me, is family worry or pressure. I'm blessed. I am blessed to have one of the most amazing daughters in the universe. This child watches over me, and I am, let me just tell you about me. I have a life of activity. I'm constantly active. I write, I content create, I am active in my church, I usher, I'm in a senior citizens social group at my church, I do all my own shopping, I drive others. I am always studying something. 2 years ago, I got my insurance license to sell insurance, auto and homeowners. And last year, I got my insurance claims adjuster license. And I did that for a while. And I just realized going back into corporate, I was reminded of why I walked out the first time. But I keep the license because I can also do that work as an independent adjuster. So I'm always busy. I've been taking, over the past couple of months, multiple courses on artificial intelligence, or AI, because face it or not, it's here. We're going to have to deal with it. And so that's what I do. So I'm really super active and in tune with today and today's technology. But my daughter, because I'm aging, always makes sure that I'm okay. I had lunch with her today, and I just sat there looking at her and thanking God for sending this tremendous woman into my life, who's just become a wonderful supporter and a pretty good friend. So you have to accept the fact, it can be irritating, but you have to accept the fact that your kids are going to worry. They're going to be concerned about your well-being. If you don't have children, you may have relatives who also are concerned about your well-being, and accept it. And don't look at it or take it as something irritating. Accept the fact that God has been good to you, that He sent people to you who are concerned about you enough to check on you. They love you. And that should give you comfort to know that if you do have a situation where something happens and you need to pick up the phone and ask for help, you already have a list of those people that you can go to. So take comfort in that, but don't push them away. When they come at you with their concerns, don't fight it. Don't be argumentative. And I'm talking to me because I used to do that, but I accept it. I love that someone is concerned, because there are so many of us who are aging who don't have people who are concerned. Now, whether or not that's because of something they did in their life to burn bridges, I don't know. But the fact is that so many people don't have people who are concerned. So when you have somebody, children especially, who believe that they are now the parents, just accept it. Set your boundaries, but accept it and love them, because that's their way of showing their love for you. And then another con, before my last con, is motivation challenges. I've seen so many of my peers, as they've aged, people who were super vibrant, who just, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe they've worn themselves out or whatever, but they lack motivation to continue doing things that they even loved, or motivation to do anything that's new. We have a lot of limiting beliefs about us as we age. We start to believe that we can't learn new things or even start a business, which I have well after 60. And those are just lies. As long as we are mentally good, we can do anything. And I encourage all of you, if you have a desire to do something new, learn how to do it. Like I said, I'm taking these AI classes, and they're not nearly as challenging as I thought they would be, and I'm having so much fun. And this is a knowledge that I also want to pass on to you in future videos. I'm thinking about creating a series of courses to teach you how to create your own YouTube channel, how to design it, how to monetize it, how to use it to convey messages and script your messages, and how to use the various tools, and how to choose what equipment you use, like this little microphone in my case, this little cheap $6 microphone. But those are my desires. And I'm 77 years old. In just a few months, I'm going to be 78. And nobody can tell me that I can't do it. God gave me breath. And every day, every morning that he gives me breath, I'm living my life, the life that he gave me, to discover and implement desires that I may have put off for years in deference to somebody else's desires. So I encourage you to do the same thing. If you have a challenge with motivation, think about why that is and think about how you can turn that around. And just take one step towards getting it done. Start something new. Pick up a puzzle. Start working the puzzle. Read a new book. Discuss it. Here again, if you can do therapy, I did that trauma therapy, and I tell you, I went in one woman and I came out totally a whole different one. And you can't tell me something that I can't do, because I no longer believe the lies, because every lie I turn into a truth, because that's what God would have me do. Another pro, this doesn't apply to me either, but I know it does with some of my friends, is concern around the future. I have no concerns around the future. If God took me right now, I've lived such a full life. I've lived a life for several people. So I would never, ever worry about the future. I think there's, I know there's a scripture, I don't know what the scripture is, but where he instructs us to not think about those things of tomorrow, but worry about today, right? Be concerned with today. And he supplies all of our needs, right? So I don't need, at this big old age, to worry about the future. I'm thanking God that he got me here this far. I never thought I'd make it to 77, but here I am. And I'm thriving. I am absolutely living my best life. I do a lot of solo travel as well. I'm not afraid. I don't have that kind of fear-based life. And I think that's the biggest challenge for most seniors, is the fear of. And you need to conquer that fear, because tomorrow will take care of itself. When we die, we die. We don't know when that's going to happen. Nobody does at no age. And the Bible tells us it'll be like a thief in the night. Nobody will know. So don't worry about your future. You've lived a good life. Thank God. Thank God. So those are the 10 pros and the 10 cons that I wanted to talk about. And there's probably a lot more, but the basic summary for me is that I'm so thankful that I was able, over the past 10 or so years, 14 actually, years, that I've been able to live solo. It's just been the best thing to ever happen to me. I moved out of living with my relatives into a marriage. I never had time to figure out who I was. I had aspirations before I got married, and then all these many years later, I realized that I did what I had to do to feed my children and myself. I just kind of didn't do all those things that I wanted to do, but I actually, in my solo life, have been able to accomplish some of those things. So I encourage you to do the same thing. Don't let age be a deterrent to living your life and living it fully. Thank God for all of your blessings. You woke up, you're breathing. Take advantage of that. Do new things. Bring joy back into your life. And that will help you fight any of those cons, because you have total autonomy on deciding which path you're going to take. If you've gotten anything out of this, please comment. I want to start a dialogue as I build this community. Comment, where are you watching me from? What kinds of challenges are you having as a solo senior? Let me know. Let's have these discussions. Don't forget to subscribe. Click that bell so you can be notified on my next video. And please like the content. In the meantime, be blessed.